Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and this pre-impression is going to be a little bit weird because I actually already did a pre-impressions on Torchlight Frontiers. I had my guesstimations, my theories of what the game could be like, and a lot of that, and for similar games, is always on the deliberation of what are the microtransactions going to be like, how online is it going to be, and it's really so much less and detracting from, I guess, the core mechanics of how cool are those classes, how unique are those classes, though they do seem very unique, definitely. How fun are the engaging encounters are going to be, I guess, versus the I guess the trash mobs that will definitely be plethoric throughout the experience. What's going to be the highs, what's going to be the lows, what's the core gameplay loop going to be like, Jenny? There's so much to talk about with a game, but when it comes to these online games as a service, it's always well, what's the service? Is it pay to win? Things like that. So I don't think Torchlight going into this was really prepared for all of that. That's kind of what I said, is I was really worried about the MMO-Lite nature, but we don't have to worry about that anymore. Basically, even though the game will, obviously, it's going to be cooperative, obviously, the Torchlight Frontiers was being created with one thing in mind, but it doesn't mean that it's entirely scrapped. They're going to use the assets, they're going to use those ideas, those concepts. This game it's still going to be very similar of a game to Torchlight Frontiers, but I think the main thing is that instead of developing it as a service, it's a premium title now. So that's what we're talking about, guys. Torchlight Frontiers is now Torchlight 3. It's going to be the proper sequel or successor to 1 and 2. What does that mean for me? I don't know. I don't really care. I did not play 1 or 2, but I did want to play 2, actually. It seemed like a fun co-op game. Just never had anyone to play with. But after playing Diablo 3, actually couch co-op on my PS4, I want to play more of these styles of games. Normally, I'm an over-the-shoulder or adventure style player, so I like Monster Hunter, Dark Souls, things like that, Legend of Zelda, but this game does look really fun, so I definitely was looking forward to it, but now I'm actually much more excited. Even though I'm somebody who always covers free-to-play games, and specifically games as services, it just always seems like there's such negativity around all of that, and especially with their publisher, which was going to be Perfect World. It wasn't even going to be on Steam, it was going to be on the Arc launcher. So many horrible things were going to go wrong with that. Not necessarily the fact that it's free-to-play, but who they chose as a publisher. So does this make sense for Torchlight? Almost certainly, especially since 1 and 2 are beloved games. I know that at least that much. And I also know that specifically the Torchlight developers listen to their community, and they're really receptive to feedback. And I really honestly believe, which I'll leave that a short little trailer at the end of the developer talking with us. He says basically through the testing of Frontiers, everyone was saying something. Our internal development team, we were kind of feeling the same way, so we're just gonna go ahead and do this. Basically, yeah, we hear you, we feel you. We're gonna make Torchlight 3. Forget the Frontiers, forget this whole MMO-ish thing that we were, basically they were gonna try to make really, it was gonna be like a grind-a-thon. There's gonna be tons of microtransactions. It wasn't actually gonna be that popular because of being on Arc. And really, in the end, guys, I'm gonna tell you, they probably did listen to their community to an extent to come up with this plan. But also, let's go and think about something a little bit differently here. Their community wasn't that big. The Torchlight community is always a little bit more niche, and when you have a smaller community, you do want to squeeze big bucks out of them. So you either go free to play and whale them, but they didn't want to kind of mess with the purity of their gameplay, it seems. So they probably didn't want to listen to Perfect World too much, and they went the box copy route. Which, if this game is going to be more social, more online, then that could be a detriment to it. But it probably won't. It probably won't be. This is a smaller, co-op-ish kind of game, and it's probably perfectly fine to play single player. Probably going to be an engaging game. But, it kind of sucks thinking about that, because really, in the end, the bottom line is they were willing to go with Perfect World on the Arc launcher. They were willing to pervert their gameplay with weird cosmetics and a strange pet system and some other very strange mechanics that were definitely there as gameplay loops, not for the sake of being gameplay, but for the sake of being a grind, a treadmill, and incentivizing microtransactions. They were okay with that at first. So anyways, I don't quite want to let them get away with that. Even though they are changing it, maybe I should, I don't know. And so basically, they're kind of polling, and they see, well, the community that does love us, which is very small, we would make more money and we would make a better product, probably be better for our name. And basically multiple points though were going into this for the decision to be changed to go to Steam, which will have more eyeballs. The community that does like these kind of games, they buy them on Steam. They spend money, $20, $15, $30 for some of these games. And, you know, Torchlight is a recognizable name that has already had kind of a bit of free advertising in a way, promoting itself as an MMO, as free to play, and it's gotten its eyeballs on by a lot of people that normally wouldn't care. So it's kind of like they threw out a bait and they hooked us, basically. So that's why I'm here, to be honest. Anyways, okay, so gameplay-wise, I can't really mention too much, and I'm gonna be really frank and kind of rude here, and that, well, it's an isometric action RPG. And to those who play this genre that looks like this, I don't want to be offensive, but in the end, like, guys, I've been trying to play a lot of these, and I'm having fun, but they are very rinse repeat. They are very similar to each other in terms of mechanics. In fact, I even did a rant video where I was like, well, action RPGs, they're not really that actiony. Like, there might be lots of enemies on the screen and lots of spell effects, but it's not the action that you would see in Dark Souls as an action RPG, or the action that you see in Monster Hunter as an action RPG. And there's some spectacle fighters with RPG elements that are just way more actiony and ridiculous. And now you have games like Warframe, which are just undoubtedly the most action RPG of all. You know, so this is kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum that I'm familiar with. And it just seems like these games are, well, like very similar. I will say that. But from out of all of the games that I've played, I can tell these things, as I guess you can call me a noob to the genre, and especially the Torchlight franchise. It looks like Path of Exile, that's like your dark, hardcore, you know, your general looter isometric action RPG. That's the one you play if you really, really love this genre. But then there's a bunch of others that are trying to do some twists and turns here and there, and they don't look horrible, they don't look bad. I'm sure you can have fun. But there are a few notable names outside of that do kind of change it around. So you can play Diablo for the story, for the popularity, possibly. Or I think, you know, if you already are playing Path of Exile, it might be good to kind of pair that maybe with something like Torchlight. That was actually my perception. It was a cheaper game, it's an indie game, and it has seemingly kind of like a more creative take on some classes, and that's a big thing for me. Is, you know, what has like the most unique classes in gameplay? Because if I'm going to role play, and if I'm going to work around like customization, and if I'm going to use like a single or just a couple abilities, I want the most unique experience that I possibly can. If I'm literally just point and clicking and shooting arrows constantly, like I've done that so many times between MOBAs, between action RPG, etc. Like, I want to be doing some really fun stuff. And one class here, it's kind of a pet class in a way. It's like you build the track for like a turret, like train thing. I don't know, you're like like you build rails for a train that follows you. It's so dumb and weird, but that's just kind of the perception that I have for this game, and hopefully they carry that onward. Now, a lot of these games will have like class mixing and matching, or like in Path of Exile, you can really have like this tremendously robust skill system where you're basically creating skills and like a totally different kind of way to play. But I think Torchlight for an action RPG is maybe more on the opposite end of the spectrum, and that's just my brand new babyface perception of it. So I am looking forward to that kind of gameplay. I don't have too much more time to really just sift through abilities, and like I don't want a Path of Exile 2.0, and I don't want I guess I kind of do want another Diablo-ish experience, but obviously not Diablo. Obviously, you know, a game that is still kind of with that art style, that cartoon kind of cutie, which is weird saying that Diablo cartoon and cute, but Diablo 3 definitely had like a cartooniness to it. But I'm definitely looking forward to that, you know, something that's kind of cartoon and comical and just ridiculous, you know, and just kind of silly, and jump in with my friends and have a good time. And I will pay a premium price for that. I had a lot of fun with Dungeon Defenders, which I know that's like over the shoulder. Again, that's just the kind of games I play. But if I'm gonna go isometric, then I think that's totally, I think Torchlight's going to be the one that I want to jam to, probably. Now, I haven't played the other rest of the games, but that's probably what it's going to be. Hopefully they still have more open maps, because a lot of these dungeon divers, they can be extremely linear, but I do kind of like Path of Exile. You kind of wander around, got to work with the team, and like, oh, you know, procedural generation of some maps. Oh, hey, it's over here, you know, follow me. You know, sometimes you get surprised. Oh man, there's a trap, help me out of it. I don't know, who knows? I do hope that there is elements of cooperation instead of just face tanking everything. I have no idea how these encounters could go down, especially with all these weird classes. That could be that is actually a big problem with a lot of ARPGs. If I'm allowed to just rant here, is that a lot of ARPGs, the encounters are incredibly dumb, like the AI of the monsters are dumb, but then the classes themselves can be really creative and fun. The potential of that. So we'll see what happens there. But you know, yeah, if there's any other ARPG that I want to play, it's good, like, you know, general isometric ARPG, it's definitely going to be this game. I know a lot of you guys are suggesting some games and I want to check them out. I'm poor as hell. Don't know if you see my face cam in some videos. I record in a closet. You see all these other YouTubers that have all these cool, like, you know, $1,000 backgrounds. I'm sorry, I don't make that much money. But you know, if I do get a chance, I will play more. But definitely Torchlight. Starting at Frontiers, I didn't care, to be honest, that much. I was excited for like the potential of it, but now I feel like, oh no, the potential will certainly be realized. The artistry won't be perverted, and yeah, maybe less people will play it, and maybe more people will play it, probably because it's going on Steam. But yeah, you know, giving up free to play does suck in a way, but I think this is the right decision for Torchlight. So anyways, I gotta look into what the game's gonna turn into, what they're gonna change and things like that. Sorry, I can't rant on too much about the depth of it, especially because I haven't played the OG Torchlights, but I just want to say, you know, my thoughts and feelings. It's like, you know, I feel like I'm probably someone a lot like you, or just the general audience, somebody who, obviously this genre is getting bigger and bigger. It's starting to get into the spotlight. Here's one of those games, and should we focus on this or should we move on? And I'm thinking, this is definitely, now for certainly, one to absolutely keep an eye on, at least for the general isometric action RPGs. Diablo is a very, very long way away, and it's going away from its cartoony roots. So, there's been a Darksiders, a kind of cartoony action RPG that came out recently. There's been like a robot one. Yeah, in terms of like a comic kind of, you know, colorful action RPG. No, I think this is the one. Yeah, so yeah, let's look forward to it. Let's keep the hype alive. Much love, friends and family, and I'll see you next time.
Hi everyone, Max Schaefer here, creator and executive producer of the Torchlight franchise, and I've got big news for you today. First, we are renaming the game from Torchlight Frontiers to Torchlight 3. We're doing this based on two things. First, the amazing feedback we've gotten from our alpha testers, and secondly, as you make a game, the game starts to tell you what it wants to be. And Torchlight Frontiers told us that it really wants to be the spiritual successor to Torchlight 1 and Torchlight 2. And so we've made the change, both in the business model and the name, for these reasons. We think you're really going to enjoy the changes we put in. The game plays amazingly right now. It's a lot of fun. We are also changing the game to a premium model, which means that for one box price, you get the entire game, all of the content from day one. As part of our switch to a premium model, we are also switching from ARC to Steam, so Torchlight 3 will be a Steam game. I can also tell you today that we will be releasing on PC in 2020. We did these changes mostly because of feedback we got from our alpha players. They told us what they want the game to be, and from our own internal deliberations, we also agreed. The game just works better as a premium title. And we have changed the structure of the game, changed the way you go through it, the pacing, the monsters you fight, and made so many great new changes that you're going to have to get all the details either online, in our blogs. We do Friday fun streams, so check us out there, and on social media. There's a lot of good stuff coming down the road, and all of it is possible because of the great input we've gotten from our alpha testers. They've given us constant feedback from the very beginning of this journey, and I think it's made the game a whole lot better than it was before. So I want to say thank you to the alpha testers, thank you to everyone who's been following along. We've got great things coming down the pike, and please stay tuned.